If you've been scrolling through endless listings, watching unboxing videos, and still feel that nagging doubt about which DTF printer actually fits your workflow, you're not alone. The market is flooded with A3 size machines that promise double speed, white ink stirring systems, and 2-year ink supplies, but the fine print often hides the real day-to-day experience. In this review, I'm going to walk through exactly what you'll see when you plug the PLK A3 DTF printer into a small production line, where the value really comes from, and which kind of printer operator should walk away. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's set the scene. Imagine you run a boutique apparel shop that prints custom tees for local bands, sports teams, and occasional corporate orders. You already have a heat press and a couple of screen printing stations, but you keep getting requests for full-color designs that would take forever on a screen press. That's the sweet spot for direct-to-film (DTF) technology. You can print any CMYK image on a film, powder it, and then transfer it to fabric with a heat press. The PLK machine is marketed as an all-in-one solution printer, powder shaker, dryer, roll feeder, and cutter, so in theory you could go from a digital file to a finished shirt in a single line. Who should consider this machine? If you're a hobbyist who prints only a handful of shirts a month, you might be better off with a smaller desktop DTF printer or even a traditional heat transfer vinyl setup. The PLK's A3 format, roll handling, and double-speed printing start to make sense when you're consistently pushing at least 30 to 50 shirts per week. That volume lets you amortize the initial cost and actually benefit from the included 2-year ink supply. On the other hand, if you already own a high-volume screen printing press that handles bulk runs, the PLK could be a nice supplemental unit for low-run, high-detailed jobs, but you'd need to factor in the space it occupies and the learning curve of the powder shaker. Now let's talk about the practical strengths. The most noticeable advantage is the integrated powder shaker and dryer. Many entry-level DTF setups require you to buy a separate shaker, which adds both cost and desk space. With PLK, the film comes out of the printer, slides directly into the shaker, gets coated with adhesive powder, then moves into a built-in dryer that cures the powder before you cut the film. In a real-world test run, I printed a 12-inch by 12-inch full-color logo. The machine printed both the CMYK layers and the white underbase in under 30 seconds thanks to the XP600 head and the advertised double feed mode. The film then rolled into the shaker and the whole powder application step took another 15 seconds. That speed translates to roughly 80,100 prints per hour if you keep the feed continuous, which is respectable for a shop that isn't a full-scale production house. Another concrete benefit is the white ink stirring system. White ink is notoriously prone to settling, and many users complain about clogged nozzles after a few weeks of intermittent use. PLK's built-in stirring motor keeps the white reservoir moving, which, at least in my limited trial, prevented the classic white streaks that you see on low-budget units. Coupled with the 2-year ink supply that comes pre-installed, you get a predictable consumable cost for the first 24 months, something that can be hard to budget for when you're juggling multiple suppliers. The roll feeder and film cutter also deserve a mention. The machine accepts A3 size film rolls up to 150 millimeters wide, so you can load a full spool and let the printer handle the sheet-to-roll conversion automatically. This eliminates the tedious task of manually feeding individual sheets, which is a common source of jams in other DTF printers. The cutter at the end of the line can be set to the exact length of your design, meaning you walk away with neatly trimmed film ready for the press, without having to measure and cut with a handheld blade. But no machine is without trade-offs, and the PLK's weaknesses show up when you dig deeper into the workflow. First, the printer runs on Windows only. If your shop uses a Mac or a mixed OS environment, you'll need to set up a dedicated Windows PC just for the printer, which adds an extra purchase and an extra point of failure. Second, while the double speed claim is appealing, you'll notice a dip in print quality when you crank the head to its maximum rate. Fine gradients can become banded, especially in the white underbase, which is critical for dark fabrics. For a client who expects photorealistic prints on black tees, you might have to dial back to the standard speed mode, sacrificing some of that promised throughput. Another practical issue is the powder waste. The shaker does a good job of distributing adhesive, but any excess powder falls into the collection tray and needs to be cleaned out after every few dozen prints. If you're operating in a small studio, that dust can settle on other equipment and become a maintenance headache. The PLK does include a removable tray, but the cleaning process isn't automated,